Please pay attention that the program will be started soon for about 1 to 2 minutes. We are going to start our program. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Diki Ramdhani from the Faculty of Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran. I will be a moderator in this program. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome you all to the Zoom online seminar held by the International Unit of the Faculty of Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran with the theme, What's Next? Self-Development for Facing the Future. Today, Thursday, August 13, 2020, started at 8:30 to 11 o'clock Jakarta time or 9:30 to 12 o'clock Kuala Lumpur time. Before the web seminar begins, I would like to inform you the rundown of the program as follows. The first session will be welcoming speech by the Dean of the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Professor Husmi Yurmiati. And the second session will be presentation by our three main speakers, Dr. Najri Nayan, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Animal Science, the Faculty of Agriculture, University Putra Malaysia. And the second speaker will be Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, a former researcher at Netherlands Institute of Ecology Advisory Board, NGO Rotesi. And the third speaker will be Dr. Novi Mayasari, a lecturer at the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia. She is also the head of international unit of the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. After presentation session, there will be discussion session. So during presentation session, each speaker will speak about 20 minutes. And after that, we will have a 30-minute discussion session. After discussion session, we will ask all the speakers to have a closing statement, continued by wrap-up session by Muhammad Rifki Ismirod, MSc. Then it will become to the end, closing ceremony of the program at about 10 to 11 a.m. Jakarta time. In this opportunity, I would like also to inform you all the rules of this web seminar as follows. You can also see the webinar rules on the set screen. The first one is the online seminar is free of charge, and the second, the participant audio features are automatically regulated by the host and the co-host to maintain seminar conduciveness. And the third, the presentation and discussion and discussion sessions are guided by myself as a moderator. And the fourth question should be sent through chat room and state any presenter to whom you are asking for. And the fifth, it's forbidden to use pictures in this Zoom seminar to advertise or commit verbal violence containing racism, sex, religion, and ethnicity elements. And the sixth, the results of the discussion in the form of recordings and or material will be distributed only to participants who attend through WhatsApp group or email that has been registered by filling out the feedback form. This feedback form link will be distributed at the end of the seminar. And the last rule, the material link and the absence should be shared in the chat room. The administrator of the committee will guide this. Please be aware, this will be on the chat room, and please make sure you don't miss it. So we will have our first session, which is welcoming speech by the Dean of the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Professor Husmi Yurmiati. To Professor Husmi Yurmiati, if you are ready, then the time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Diki. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear Honorable Speaker and guests, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to the first online seminar series of International Office of Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, entitled, What's Next? Self-Development for Facing the Future Today, is a part of event of the 57th anniversary of our faculty. In this nice occasion, we will be exposing the insight about personal development from our honorable speaker, Dr. Nazri Nayam. He is senior lecturer, Department of Animal Science, Faculty of Agriculture, University Putra, Malaysia. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, she is former researcher at Netherlands Institute of Ecology, Advisory Board, NGO Rotasi. And then Dr. Novi Mayasari, she is senior lecturer at Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia, with moderator Dr. Diki Ramdhani, senior lecturer at Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea to discuss this topic came when we realized that the society of continuously shifting, while new types of a job requirements are endlessly extending. Globalization makes individual computation significantly broader, not only nationally and regionally, but also internationally. Students, especially in Southeast Asia, are demanded to build knowledge, skill, and network in international level to meet the international stakeholder need. Therefore, we organize this online seminar with a purpose to prepare individuals, especially students, to gain insight on how to contribute to society in a global scale in the future. I would also like to thank the committee of this event, the International Office of Faculty of Animal Husbandry, which did their best to organize this event. The International Office of Faculty of Animal Husbandry consists of lecturers and students who have vision to increase and engage international exposure and network in the Faculty of Animal Husbandry. The International Office of Faculty of Animal Husbandry has several programs to achieve those aims, from organizing international visiting lecturer, student exchange, and internship to international talk sessions such as this online seminar. The International Office of Faculty of Animal Husbandry has social media channels such as Instagram and Line to engage more extensive network. Lastly, I wish to thank all the speakers for their time and insight. I hope this program will extend and maintain the international network and recognition of Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. There is a big opportunity for us to tackle future challenges by working together on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time to join this webinar. I hope you can enjoy the seminar and get the most out of it. Thank you very much. Wabil taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Husmi. Yeah. Thank you very much for your welcoming speech, Professor Husmi Yurmiati. It's very inspiring for us and also very informative. Again, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Right. We are moving to our next session, which is our main program, presentation session from our three speakers. Right. In this opportunity,
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
So should I start now? Because I'm waiting for the moderator to finish his sentence. Okay, I think I can more or less start right now. First of all, I'd like to check the sounds. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. It's great.
Thank you, Novi.
Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
First of all, I would like to thank especially to Ibu Husmi, Professor Husmi, for inviting me and other speakers for this webinar session. So let me share the slides first. All right. So this is the topic that's been given to me, self-development for student and junior researcher. So before I start, I continue with my talk. So I am a junior lecturer myself. So, it's been like 1 or 2 years, but I've been working with UC for almost 10 years. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. Like a Malaysian proverbs, tak kenal maka tak cinta. So I would like to introduce myself first. Some background, education background. I have a quite diverse education background, from biomedical sciences to animal physiology for my master degree, and finally animal nutrition for my PhD 2 years ago at Wageningen University and Research. So the same university with Dr. Novi and also Mr. Rifki, I think, right? Some familiar faces, that would be great. And my current research interest is about bioconversion of agriculture biomass, such as oil palm frond, wheat straw as a ruminant feed, and also potential application of other non-conventional animal feed, such as insects and microalgae as a ruminant feed, animal feed, or poultry feed, and nutritional physiology of heat stress animals. That's more or less my main focus right now for my research that I'm doing right now at UPM, University Putra Malaysia. So my name is Nazim Nayan. Okay, so I like to be more or less like Dutch people right now. Just directly go to, just to throw you some provocative statement, some reality check here. Okay, so these are common questions that we've been asking, throughout our life, our journey as a researcher in this, especially for these topics. So what, when, who, where, how, but unfortunately, I cannot tell you about how, why, but ironically, the topic is self-development for student and junior researcher. So that's probably the biggest question that in your mind right now when you join this webinar, right? Self-development. You've been asking yourself how you can develop yourself. But hey, wait a minute, hold on, because that's where you make a mistake there. We never jump into how to do things without try to understand the process first. So to have a, to create, to develop yourself as a researcher, as a junior researcher, you have to understand the process first. The process is very simple, from and how you're doing your postgraduate study right now. So that's a really important skill that you need to have, which is analyze. So there's a question of what, when, who, where. So for the first part of my talk today, I'm going to, you know this already, but I'm going to share with you what are the basic steps that you're going through in research. Okay, these are the typical journey. You have a progress here and the time here, and this is the curve, for your progress. You start from know what you do. You have to strategize your study. You have to plan what to do. You have to reach out. I'm going to explain this in later slides. You have to organize your research. You have to know how to conduct your experiments. You have to know how to collect your data. You have to know how to visualize your data and also analyze your data, interpret your data, sharing, and writing. Finally is writing. You can see here the steps. At the beginning, you're mostly doing desk work here. And then you do the lab work. And then you're meeting people. But throughout the process, you do have to meet a lot of people. So here the journey. Okay. This is just one typical journey. But when you compare yourself with your colleagues, you can see that some of your colleagues very fast at the beginning. You see? Very fast at the beginning. And sounds very late here, but then the progress is very slow. But time is relative. I have to be very, I have to focus on that. I have to stress on that. Time is relative. You should never compare yourself with your colleagues in terms of how fast that you've been, your progress is with your research. Because that's where you come wrong, because different people have different pace, different capability. But you see here, the destination is the same, okay? No matter how fast and how slow you are in your progress, but the destination is the same because time is relative. So you should never compare yourself in terms of, I understand that when you see that your colleagues next to you is very fast in his or her research progress, you feel that you're doing nothing, but actually not, because you're having your time there. Okay, know what you do. This is very important, okay? Otherwise, you shouldn't do research. You have to know what to do for your research. So you have to do a lot of literature review, literature research, also some fundamental knowledge what your research is all about, because you have to identify the research gap. What are the gaps that has been unexplored or underexplored? Just because that one person has been doing on that particular topic, it's not necessarily means that your research is not novel. No, there's probably some other aspect of that particular research, of that particular subject, which is underexplored. Yeah, people never look into that particular aspect. So that's the thing that you have to see in your research guide. I'm not going to too much details here, but basically just the idea to guide you through the process of research, because you have to understand the process first before you start to know how. So the objective, smart. Your objective have to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you don't have this, that's a problem. That's happen, when you are unable to finish your research in time, because whatever you plan to do are not achievable. It's not timely because too much variables to be measured, but yet you have a limited resource, you have a limited time. So you have to know that, you have to weigh the cost benefit of everything, and it has to be specific and measurable, so that you can actually understand your research very well. You have to strategize and plan. A plan says here are the steps, but strategy says here are the best steps. So in order to know the best steps, you have to see the overall picture of your research. Okay, I take example here of my own research for my PhD. So I have more or less 6 chapters for my thesis, okay? But I only conducted 3 big experiments here. The first one is more or less preliminary work, because for me, my strategy is I need to be familiarized with the work that I'm going to do, because it's new to me, how to culture fungi and how to maintain, how to conduct the treatment, everything. But then, although it's kind of preliminary work, my aim also try to get everything published, because you shouldn't waste your resources, your time, the money that you spend on that particular research. So you have to use that. At least for research, the ultimate aim is to publish your research, to share your research to the scientific community. That's the ultimate aim. And then I came to the biggest experiment that I had for my PhD. The strategy is to generate as much material as possible, and then I can use the same materials and analyze different parameters for different objectives. Then I can write more papers from that. You shouldn't combine all the things that you measure and just publish one papers. Sometimes it's better to have just one main objective for one papers, and that's, I think, is more clear and more focused for the papers. And the last one is this one. So this is my strategy. And the plan, here comes the Gantt chart. You have to know what are your measurements, what still need to do, everything very specific, very detailed, because you have to know that, and you have to follow this. It is your responsibility to actually follow your own plan, because if you take easy on this, and then the plan is just a plan without any successful execution of the plan. So you have to be specific on this one. And reach out. This is very important, because I heard that a lot of times, throughout doing my PhD, doing a postgraduate study or doing a PhD is a lonely journey. Sometimes it's true, you feel lonely, but actually you cannot do everything by yourself. It's impossible. Okay? Don't feel that you are alone in that particular journey, in research journey. Because you have your supervisor, you have Dr. Novi will talk about how to approach your supervisor, or maybe how to deal with your supervisor. Your supervisor is the key to your success. Hold the key to your success. If you're not pay attention to that, because he also human. Okay, so you have to pay attention to that. So some general, this is my idea about the people in science. You have the general public, the universal, this is a Venn diagram here. And this is you. You're surrounded by your comfort zone there. Okay. The moment you step outside, the moment you do your research, you start doing your research, you already step out from your comfort zone. Yeah? Trust me, okay, you're already out of your comfort zone. Because otherwise you should just stay at home doing nothing. Yeah? That's your comfort zone. You should just stay at home. But now you already do research, and that's a great step for your life actually. You're taking risks, you take the challenge to do research. So you're out of your comfort zone. But remember, your success is right in the middle. You can see it's overlapping of all these elements of your colleagues, your supervisor, your lab staff, and also scientific community. Yeah? Here we also have a peer review right in the middle here, because you should never claim you have done a scientific research without your research being peer reviewed by the same the scientists that share the same field as you are. It's very important. Yeah? Peer review is very important. Look, it can also be done by the other scientific community and also your colleagues. Yeah? Either way, because you need the input for your research. So you can see that although you have all the strength to actually finish your study, your PhD, your master, or your career, but you have to deal with a lot of people there. So be nice to people. Unfortunately, there are a lot of times that we are facing a lot of annoying people, right? We have to admit that. There's a lot of annoying people in the world. For sure. I can guarantee you. I meet a lot of annoying people. And that's where you have to develop your inner strength there. Okay? You should never counter an ego person with being ego. It's not work that way. Yeah? You shouldn't do that. And you should know how to manage people, because you need them for your success here, right in the middle here. And organize and conduct experiments. So you need to learn how to be organized. Attention to small details will actually give you a peace of mind. Yeah, sometimes you think that, oh, it's too much, yeah, to pay all the details, but it gives you nothing. But actually, it's not true. Don't take it too broad. Just simple things that you can do in order to develop yourself to be an organized person. Yeah? For example, here, just organize the right way your folders for your research. Okay, experiments, manuscript writing. If your supervisor asks you to find a file, you should be able to find that file within 1 minute maximum. Okay, that's how you develop yourself. It looks very little. These things look very negligible, but actually it's not. It has a huge impact on how you develop yourself to be an organized person. And try to use the cloud storage, because sometimes you are on the go and your supervisor or your superior asks for a file or something, and then you can just directly use it. I use Dropbox, sometimes also Google Drive. You should take advantage of that because it's very convenient. Yeah? It's very convenient. And just list down everything, write in a nice way, although you're not at the stage of writing yet, but you have to know what are you doing, what are your objectives, what are the experimental design. That's really important, because you shouldn't think about this after you finish your study. That won't work, because you have to know the experimental design before starting with your study, because this determines how you're going to analyze your data. Experimental design is very important. At least you got the idea, the layout, everything, and then you can start with your study. Data, this is very important. You have to record all the observation. For example, you have multiple steps there. Yeah, for your treatment, you have a lot of steps. Like in this case, for my study, I have to soak the wheat straw in water for a few days, and then inoculate, and then autoclave, and then inoculate everything. So each step, I have to record everything, the weight, everything, because it's very helpful. Yeah? Although at the end you might only need the total dry matter content, for example, but just record everything. Be critical to yourself while doing the research, but don't be hard on yourself. There's a difference between being critical and hard. Yeah, have you ever having this kind of situation? People asking you some questions. You're presenting something, and they start asking one questions, and that questions can be very hard, can be very critical. If I ask a critical questions, I want to help you to improve your research. If I want to be hard on you, basically I try to make you look stupid. Okay, some people like to do that. They don't know the subject matter, but they try to act smart. Don't be that. Eh? But for yourself, when doing research, be critical, but don't be hard yourself. If you couldn't do that, seek for help. Okay. Data. This teaches you integrity. Okay. Negative results are results. Sometimes you may remove some outliers, but never falsify your data. That's totally wrong. That's totally incorrect. It's integrity issues. There's a lot of issues that people has been published, and for example, this one example that on stem cell research, the institution in Japan, okay, they published this paper in Nature, but nobody can actually reproduce the experiments. Okay, that's very important when you're writing your materials method. That materials method have to be reproducible. Okay, all the details that you have provided in that particular section, people at least are able to replicate or reproduce your study, just to check something like that. But then when nobody can repeat that, and then people start asking that, okay, and then at the end the paper has been retracted from Nature. Okay. That's the thing when we try to falsify your data. Don't do that. That's also happened in Wageningen. It happened everywhere in the world. People are just trying to take the easy way to get results, but don't do that. If you get negative results, don't be sad. It could be means something else. Okay, try to be more open to whatever outcome that you might be wondering. Actually, doing research, if you try to prove you are wrong, you have alternative hypothesis that you have, but actually you have to you try as soon as possible to reject your null hypothesis, something like that. Yeah? You try to prove you are wrong. Yeah, whatever alternative you try to introduce, you're wrong. But then people are trying to reject the null hypothesis, and then you think that you prove something, because that's how the counter argument in science. You try to prove, can I be wrong? That's actually your but at the end, if you have positive result, that's your results. Okay, you try to be critical to yourself. You have to organize your data, organize as it will be analyzed in your statistical software, and try to visualize your data before you start analyzing your data. Sharing is very important. You should have this culture to actually present your data in front of people, in front of your colleagues. Go to the conferences just to share some of your data. I say some because sometimes you have to be secretive your everything, because that thing is not being published yet. So you shouldn't share everything, but at least you get some nice input from the audience. And funny writing, okay, that's probably the most difficult things for some people. But if you know the tricks, it can be very helpful. I'm not going to talk more about writing, but for me, you have to keep it concise and clear. This is not art writing. This is scientific writing. You don't need to add some unnecessary jargon or unnecessary adjective even. Yeah. For example, the results are wonderfully significant. That wonderful, you don't need to put it in there. It sounds nice, but it's not nice for science. You have to know the difference. And the sentence have to be coherent. So that means that people can follow your writing, your write-up from A to Z to Z. Follow the journal thesis guidelines and pay attention to figures and tables, because figures and tables have to stand out on themselves. Okay. Again, the process. Have from know what to do until writing. Yeah, whatever I have been explaining to you just now. Without you even realize, throughout the process, you have developed these skills there. Yeah? How to be knowledgeable, how to read the papers, how to be prepared, how to manage your time, your interpersonal skill, yeah, when you try to reach out for help, attention to details, being systematic in your while doing your experiments, being resilient, because sometimes you fail in your experiments. You have to be resilient. Yeah? You have to show some perseverance, because if you don't have that value in you, I'm pretty sure you're going to quit. Okay, integrity with your data, being communication skill, yeah, to share your results, and focus, because writing is about focus. How you turn all the process that you do here and throughout the process for your research, how you turn it into just yeah in write up. Sometimes you measure a lot of things. At the end of the day, it just end up in one paragraph. Can you do you have this situation? You measure a lot of things. I measure all kind of pH for all phases of my experiments, but at the end of the day, you just write. The pH has not changed for throughout the experiment. It's only that statements. Yeah? Can you imagine that? So you have to be focused and what's important, because you shouldn't put everything in your write up. You have to tell the story to the audience, yeah? To the reader. Okay, that's your ultimate aim, to be an independent scientist. Okay, all this process, yeah, will guide you through to be an independent scientist. Okay, throughout the process, you know what, you know who, you know when, this is time, you know where, maybe a little bit, but how you conduct experiments, but it's just a subset of it. But the most important questions, how? Okay, back to my earlier slide, how? I cannot tell you how. Sorry, I don't have the answer for you, because you will know the answer. Okay, when you know the process, you know what, when, who, where, you know the process. You know, human being is very amazing in this sense. Eh? We know how to solve. It's just like innate character in us, a survival character in us, to actually try to solve any problem. So you'll know how, because I cannot tell you this, because if I tell you these are the strategies for you to, for example, to write something, it might work for me, some people, because we are different. Okay, we have different capabilities, we have different knowledge, we have different understanding, level of understanding on certain issues. So sometimes, yeah, we try to we join a lot of these motivational talks. We can take the essence of the talk, but actually to find out how, you have to find it yourself. Okay, but I can share you how I do. For example, if I got stuck in writing, this is how I do for myself. Okay, don't just 100% take whatever I'm doing like this. For when I'm giving you one situation when I got stuck in writing, you might not follow whatever I'm doing. You might other way that might work for you. So first, I will acknowledge that I have a problem. I got stuck with my writing. I cannot, you know, for a few days, for a week, or for months even, I cannot move on. As I cannot even write a single word. Yeah, I added single words to my write up. Then I have to acknowledge the problem. You have to know when you have a problem. The problem, if people getting burnt out, yeah, you get burnt out because you cannot do anything because they don't acknowledge that they have a problem. So the first thing, you have to acknowledge the problem, but keep in your mind you have the deadlines, and you have to acknowledge that you are out of idea. You might need to find some inspiration to do that. And I move away from my desk, from my screen here, my computer here, get some fresh air, change the place, take a break, go on for holidays, but maximum 2 weeks. Don't drag too long, because otherwise you might not be able to get back on your feet. And then this is the most tricky part, clear your mind. How you do it, it's up to you. Meditation, I do meditation, prayer, whatever, you know, just to clear your mind, just to gain your focus. And then I just open the work. It's okay, just open your work and sometimes I just stare at the screen without doing anything, but try to at least you get yourself back to your desk. Read something, whatever you have written there, just read again and again, just to get the feeling again, okay? And then try to write something. Play with, sometimes I just play with formatting. It has nothing to do with the write-up, but I format something, you know. Sometimes I do that just to stimulate my the other side of my brain in order for me to get a nice idea of whatever I'm doing. Okay, at least some important points, just write down important points and try to elaborate from there. Okay, set small aims. Okay, if I got 1.00 here, but then I didn't change the value for all the year, 365 days, the result will be 1. But then if I just added just a few, 1.01 here, to the power of 365, I got 37, 38. But if you don't do anything, this one is your just normal pace without doing some extra work. Yeah? But if you didn't do anything, you lost that 1, you see what happened to your work. Yeah? You degrading your work actually. But of course, we are human. Yeah? We have time that there are up and down of life. Yeah? It's okay, half the year you feel that you didn't put some effort on it, but the other side of the year, you shouldn't do this all the year, but it's okay for the half of the year, you put some extra efforts, you see, you gain something at the end, okay? So try to identify your strength and your weaknesses. You have to acknowledge your problem. You have to acknowledge your weaknesses. Do SWOT analysis, your strength, your weaknesses, the opportunity, threat. Keep going, okay? Because the roads can be different. It can be just a straight road. It can be this kind of corner or this kind of corner. It can be a very bumpy road. So sometimes you have to diversify your strategies, okay? We are not on the same road all the time. So you have to diversify your strategies, be persistent. Whatever challenges that you're going to face along the way, you have to be persistent and try to identify the distractions. That's really important because you have to deal with this distraction. Don't think about the problems, but think about the solution. Remember that. And reward yourself. Yeah, I managed to write one paragraph today. Just reward yourself. Go to have a nice coffee. Just a small rewards, yeah? Because at the end, it paid off. Yeah, it paid off. You have this the greatest. It was during the defense. You can Ibu Novi, yeah? Dr. Novi also had this experience. It's the best day of my life. Yeah, you feel that's the greatest reward you can ever experience. Okay, so my take-home message is: don't directly think how to solve the problem, how to develop yourself. But first, the most important question that you should ask, what are the process? You should understand the process. Because otherwise, how are you going to analyze it? How are you going to solve the problem? You should analyze the problem. That's what a researcher or scientists do. Okay, analyze the situation. Ask yourself what, when, where, who. Okay, be nice to people. That's be nice to people. If people being cruel to you, just delete it from your life. You don't have to place yourself in that kind of argument, in that kind of situation. You know, okay, it's very important. And then you will be surprised how you can manage that thing. Okay, when I did my PhD, my father passed away. Yeah, 1st of January 2017. My father passed away. It's like my greatest fear that actually happened to me. My father passed away. But I went back to Malaysia just for 10 days. And then after 10 days, I flew back to Netherlands and continue doing my work. People have been asking, hey, are you okay? Are you okay, Nazri? You should take more days off, yeah, for you to recover, for you to get your back on your feet. I said I'm okay. If I continue crying, it won't bring my father back. Yeah. So, but then directly after I came back, I finished my writing, and ultimately I get that published. Sometimes you wonder how can I go through that? How can I overcome that sadness? You might be wondering how you do that, yeah? Because I have to acknowledge, okay, that's what my father want me to get, right? So that's my motivation. So find your motivations to go through your process, and then at the end you will be surprised yourself that you actually managed to overcome all kind of challenges in your life. I think that's all from me. I think I hope I'm in time. I forgot to check the time, so I give back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nazri Nayan, for your inspiring and valuable presentation. You speak about self-awareness, self-development, time and progress to become independent scientists. So there are about 8 steps to become independent scientists. Know what to do, strategy, reach out, organize, conduct experiments, getting data and sharing and writing. Writing here means publication. Right. So we will have discussion session after all the speakers have presented their presentation. Now I would like to invite our second presenter, which is Dr. Nurmi Pangesti. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, hoping she is ready for a presentation. Right. While Dr. Nurmi Pangesti preparing her presentation, I would like to read her short curriculum vitae. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, she is a former researcher at Netherlands Institute of Ecology, Advisory Board NGO Rotasi. She got Bachelor of Science in Biology from Bandung Technology Institute, Indonesia, ITB, Bandung, Indonesia. She got Master of Science in Plant Biotechnology from Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. And she finished her Doctor of Philosophy in Plant Sciences from Wageningen University and Research, also Netherlands. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, if you are ready, then time is yours, please.
Okay, let's first check if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Novi, Nazri, and the
yes,
moderator?
Yes, clearly. Clearly.
Yes, it's very clear.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, let's first start to share my screen. So I should also check share computer sound and optimize screen share for video clip or not? Anybody, Nazri?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Share?
Yes, it started sharing.
Yes. I hope you are a little bit patient.
Yeah.
Dr. Diki.
Dr. Nurni, we could not hear your voice. Could you do something to fix it first, please?
Dr. Nurmi, I think Dr. Nazri Nayan have suggested to uncheck the automatically adjust microphone volume. Try that.
Yes, Dr. Isham. Maybe you can try that and then slide up the volume. And I think when you're sharing the screen, instead of sharing your screen, can you try share only the presentation slides? You don't have any video on your slide, isn't it? And then just don't share the desktop sound. Just try it first.
Assalamualaikum Kang. Kumaha caranya? Ya. Sorry for the delay. I think while Dr. Nurmi Pangesti is fixing his technical issue. To save our time, I think maybe Dr. Nurmi Pangesti okay with our suggestions to have Dr. Nopi Mayasari first to speak about the effective communication. What do you think, Dr. Nopi Mayasari? Are you ready?
Yeah, it's fine. I think then we can give some time for Dr. Nuli to fix the problem.
Yeah,
so,
excellent.
Of course, I can start.
So while you are preparing your slides, I would like to read your short CV. Dr. Nopi Mayasari is a lecturer at the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia. She is also the head of international unit or international office of the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. She got Bachelor of Science in Animal Nutrition from Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia. She finished Master of Science in Animal Science from Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. And she finished her Doctor of Philosophy in Animal Science from the same university, Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. Dr. Nopi Mayasari, if you are ready, then time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Diki. So let me share my slide first. Is everyone can see my slide?
Yes, excellent. We can see it, Dr. Nopi.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, I would like to thank to the organizing committee for the hard work and also for the effort to arrange this webinar, the first webinar for the unit of International Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. And I also would like to thank you for on behalf of the team to all invited speaker and also the moderator. And today I would like to share actually what I experienced before. So I'm not the expert of communication for sure, but at least I also had something to share in theory and also practically about effective communication. So again, yes, my name is Nopi Mayasari. I'm a junior lecturer at the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. I'm in the same alma mater with Dr. Nazir and also Dr. Nurmi. So we are kind of reunion actually here. Okay, let's go to the outline of my talk for today. I will start my talk with the first part is about what is the effective communication. Effective communication, as Dr. Nazir mentioned before, communication skill is one of factor that is needed for the self-development. And it's very important to facing the future for all of us. So not only for the student, but also for colleague, for the teacher, or for the people who work in the government, and etc. And I will focus here also for the student who want to continue the study for the master or PhD, but also for the BSc student. I'm sure here that there are a lot of BSc students from Indonesia or also from Malaysia who want to start her or his project for the BSc thesis. So how actually to approach your potential supervisor? So we will start with the planning and how actually to approach the supervisor with the first email, and how we can do with the meeting, and actually how we select the supervisor itself. The second part, because I know for sure that the audience is also quite diverse. There are supervisors, there are students in the first or the second year, and also in the last year, probably, or master or postgraduate student. So we will see how actually to develop good relationship between the student and also supervisor. I was a student before, and now I also supervising a student. So maybe I can share a bit about this. I would like to ask you to see the picture. I love it. This website is PSD Comics. It's really related to our real situation actually. So I want you to define yourself. Are you in the first picture before graduate school, or probably you are graduate school, you already have the research yourself, or maybe you are a junior lecturer like me. So I want to have a good position, for example, or you are already in tenure professor, or probably you are emeritus professor, and at the end in our life, of course, there will be end of our life, right? So I hope there are no one here in the last stage. But okay, so after you define yourself, we go to the content of my talk. So what is actually effective communication? Like the previous the speaker said, that supervisor is your key of success. But I would like to say that beside the supervisor, you need to have the skill of communication, and to have the effective communication, you need to know what is the definition of this. I cite the quote from John Paul that the communication works for those who work at it. So during the communication, you have to be sure there is no misinterpretation between you and the other people. Also your supervisor, your team, your friend. So be sure there is no misinterpretation. And also be sure the choosing of the word. So you have to choose the word appropriately. The reason because they are culture, habit, and also environment. I know for sure that this generation is, sometimes I personally cannot understand the term of millennial generation. And I think it's not a millennial now, it's after millennial generation. So they have own dictionary. So you have to choose you choose your word appropriately during the communication with your supervisor. There are two types of communication, is written one, so by email, by text messages, and also the other one is verbal. So you are using your body language and etc. Okay, let's go to the what is actually the key of communication. Besides clarity and conciseness and coherence, there are three points that we have to understand during communication. The first one is listening. Listening, not everybody can do this. Yeah. So listening is very important, especially when you want to have the supervisor from another country, which is a different language. It's very important you can listen carefully. And there are clarification technique in theory, right? You want to make sure if you listen well, so you can summarize what people said. You can also try to paraphrase the sentence of your partner talk, try to organize, and maybe you can also sometimes use the open-ended question. So for example, could you please explain again what you talk? Something like that. That's also, or maybe you can give the specific example. I think I'm interested with your talk. Could you please elaborate? Something like that. So listening and combination with clarification, that's really important during the communication. The other one is non-verbal. Non-verbal communication is about how you communicate not only with the word, but with your body language, like head nods, eye contact, and also facial expression. Some people now complain with the situation now because we cannot meet directly face to face. So you cannot really understand, or you probably need some clarification from the body language. Because with the Zoom meeting, probably, one of negative things, you cannot really understand what the response of your partner, right? Okay, and the third one is about writing. Email and also text messages. That's really important. There are etiquette. There are rules actually to make an email and also text messages. Depend on the room, depend on the purpose of your communication itself. Okay, there are some questions pop up in my mind when I want to propose my potential supervisor. So I think some of you thinking about continuing study for master or PhD in another country, for example, or another university in your country. Of course, you need to contact a supervisor first. Yeah, especially for the one who want to continue study abroad. It's really important to contact or to know first your supervisor. And how you can find it, how you can find that person. There are two ways based on my experience. You can go to the university portal or you can go to the articles. What do you mean with articles, Novi? So you can search the Google, for example, and you can type your interest. So for example, about dairy cows, or probably dairy cows. Maybe you want specific supervisor, for example, from Malaysia or from UPM. You can go to the portal of the university, or maybe you can also go to the articles by searching the title, and then you can contact the contact person, corresponding author. So that's the way actually you contact or you find your supervisor. There are more ways actually. So by LinkedIn or ResearchGate, there are also a way to find supervisor. And then there are also another question. After, especially maybe for your information, the student in Universitas Padjadjaran for Faculty of Animal Husbandry, usually you already have one supervisor, the main supervisor. And then, but for the second supervisor, you can choose what you want. So actually, there are an option for you to choose your other supervisor. The main of this is actually to broaden your horizon. For example, your main supervisor is only expertise in dairy cows, but you also need to know about biochemistry or physiology or nutrition, and then you can combine your supervisor or other potential supervisor by finding the other person. Yeah, so that's really possible. You have right. You can decide by yourself who will be your supervisor. So this is also the experience of mine and also my friends. So when I propose someone, professor last time is from Germany or from Australia, I send an email, and then day by days, and after 2 weeks, I haven't got a reply from them. So you also not sure what happened. You can evaluate your approach, your body email. Probably you made a mistake, or probably you also need to make a reminder, because as we know, they also have a schedule, right? So you can, of course, remind them. Yeah, so probably they are in holiday, or maybe they are also busy, because your email probably is very in the bottom part. So you can give a reminder after 2 weeks. Yeah, this is the question. Yeah, they are overlapping, but the same strategy that the previous speaker said about the planning. The planning here, but I will step back. Yeah, this is before you do the research. So the planning here that I want to explain to you before you do the research and you approach your potential supervisor. So you have to identify your own interests. What do you want? Yeah, especially for the master and PhD, you have to engage with that topic. So you have to identify yourself, what you aiming to achieve with your research. What do you want with the research? Do you want to do the basic research for your, for example, business, or you also want to continue with academic career? So you have to identify by yourself. And the second one, when you choose the supervisor, you have to check the institutional relevance. So for example, is it possible, ma'am, for example, I graduated from Faculty of Animal Husbandry, but I want to go to economic. Of course, still possible, yeah? So it depends on what do you want. You can always make sure with your potential supervisor if it's relevant or not, yeah? Because it's also important that your supervisor knows what you want, yeah? And then before actually when you send an email, you approach the supervisor, you try to make a list first, yeah? You draw up a list of potential supervisor, and then you can check the background of them, because that's really important, yeah? That's my trick, yeah? At least I want to have one of my supervisor had very lot of experience, so they're opportunity for me to learn from them, yeah? It's not because the young man or the young professor, young lecturer is not good, but you can combine them, yeah? Because experience is also important, actually, yeah? Okay, for the next one, so after you make a list of your potential supervisor, so you can try to approach with the first email, yeah? This is the case when the supervisor is in another country or is in another university, for example, because now we are going to the Kampus Merdeka. Kampus Merdeka is a program for the government, Indonesian government, that you can go to another university for a certain time. So that's the reason why I also explain about this, because there are a lot of opportunities now for all Indonesian students to go to another program, to another university, to broaden your horizon, and also to learn something else beside your field, yeah? Okay, about the email etiquette, like I said before, is very imperative. What I mean is very important. So the way you approach with starting, for example, because you have to make it general, yeah? Religion, for example, you can avoid that a little bit because you don't know about that, the culture, and etc. So mostly we can start the email with dear and end it with kind regards, yeah? And the most important thing in the writing of email is don't decide by yourself after you writing, send. Please avoid that, because there are a lot of mistakes. Sometimes you didn't realize before, so give some time to check your spelling and also your grammar errors, yeah, during writing your email. And the formatting is also essential when you're writing an email. For example, the font size, the font style, yeah? It's not because you are, oh, my favorite is about the cartoon one, because it's very cute. It's not about that. But the appropriate font size and style is also important, yeah? To make it more readable, yeah? With the adequate spacing, yeah? Readable and also formal, yeah? And about the subject itself, yeah, you have to be clear, brief, yeah? Brief, clear, and also clear, yeah? It's what you want, yeah? The aim. For example, like a candidate for master student from Indonesia, or interest or something like that, yeah? So the subject title, it should be considered during writing the email, the first email for your potential supervisor. So the part is, of course, it's introduction, body email, and also conclusion, yeah? Okay. After the email, and if you are lucky, then you will get a reply from your potential supervisor. And sometimes, not only from abroad or from another university, here in Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran, there will be a first meeting with your potential supervisor. So before the meeting, make sure you will give the good first impression to your supervisor. Yeah. During offline meeting, please appear with a well dressed, and then you can also show your interest, your motivation to your supervisor. That's really important. Yeah. That was my experience, and also my experience when I was a student, but also my experience during supervising the student. Yeah, and also during the meeting, sometimes from my side as supervisor, or you probably from a student, you can make a commitment with your supervisor or with your student. The timetable, for example, I also always ask my student, please don't disturb me during my weekend, for example, or please send me your draft 4 days or a week before, so I have some time to read and we can meet. Or maybe you can schedule the meeting already. And maybe there are some students here, my student. I always ask them about your expectation from your supervisor. So I always ask about that. Yeah. So I always ask my student to write like half or A4 or 1 or 2 paragraph to describe what they want from me, and we will discuss it together. Yeah, and after the meeting, please do this habit. Maybe not all of us can do it, but this is probably good advice for you. Please gather all information. Find more information about your supervisor from their previous student, for example, if possible. So you can ask your colleague, for example, the previous student from your potential supervisor. You can ask for the strategy and how to approach your potential supervisor. Okay. The next one. This is also often, I often get this question from the student. Yeah. How actually, Novi, to select a supervisor? It's difficult question actually, because selection of the supervisor itself is a really personal decision. You cannot force people to go to the same supervisor. Yeah. So it should be considered carefully, very carefully. You take time by yourself and then to think, okay, this person with this background. Of course, you cannot take or receive all information about her, but at least based on the information you got from the portal, from the research, how often they publish paper, for example, they also show you the how they work, yeah, how potential they are, yeah, how effective, how productive this person. So it should be considered carefully, yeah. So choose carefully about your supervisor, and especially for the one, some of you probably want to continue master or PhD. Remember, master is 2 years or probably 1 year or 2 years, and PhD especially 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So before you select your supervisor, people say when you do the PhD, for example, you and your supervisor is something. The relation looks like a marriage relationship, because you have to spend your 4 years or 3 years research with them. You have to, it's not something that you can contact only 1 or 2 weeks, yeah. For the BSc as well, sometimes you at least contact with them is for the 6 months, yeah, or the maximum 1 until 1.5 years. You have to communicate with them, so you have to choose carefully about your supervisor. Now we go to the second part of my talk. Now I really want to talk about how is actually a relationship between supervisor and student. Yeah, there are also doctor. Yeah,
almost up, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Diki.
Just a reminder that time is almost up, please.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So there are type of supervisor, they are advisor, they are expert, and also coach. And a lot of students have their own style. There are more support, for example, there are more delegation, more direction, or more explanation. So there are a lot of type, yeah. So you can just which one do you like, and you can always ask to your potential supervisor. And this is based on my experience as a student. When I was a student, I really want to have a supervisor who can always read my work and always available, friendly, yeah, and very good knowledge, yeah. And maybe I also want to have a weekly meeting, yeah, and have interest to give more information to my field, yeah, to my research, and also to be sufficiently involved in my research, yeah. So that's what students expect from their supervisor, and I hope if there are some supervisor here, this is what students expect from you, yeah. So the student want to have a monitor, not control, yeah. This is also what I learned during my study in Wageningen, for example, and also in Padjadjaran University, Universitas Padjadjaran. I was lucky because I have supervisors who are always available for me, and they are not in the way of direction, or so they always support, yeah, friendly, yeah, and we can talk like a team, yeah, in the research. Okay, and what happened actually if you have failed relationship, yeah, this is what you got, yeah, the expectation do not meet, yeah. And sometimes you also see that because of the lack planning, there is no timetable, yeah, there is no lack of sufficient communication, you will get stressed, yeah, because of a lot of unrespectful attitude between the student or the supervisor. So there is a chance to have a failed relationship itself. Okay, there are some causes for the problem. Yeah, sometimes the student, mostly it's from the student. Yeah, fear of failure. Yeah, and sometimes you also always your mind always in negative thought. Yeah, because of the fear of failure and also negative thought. Sometimes you do the procrastination. You don't want to do that again. I want to make a distraction, but this distraction sometimes is getting long, and yeah, then after that you never expect your expectation, yeah. And the other one is perfectionism. Yeah, some people is very perfectionism, sometimes student or the supervisor, yeah. So you have to make it balanced. And the other one is bad working habits. That's also some causes for the problem for the bad relationship between the student and also supervisor. Okay, there are 4 pillars of success for the communication between the student and also the supervisor. First is about feeling, emotion, about trust. Yeah, if you have good feeling to each other, and you will have a good interaction or good conversation between the two. Yeah, and also be careful with the content. Yeah, focus on the content, and then after that, you can have a collaboration. Yeah, that's really important for the success communication. Okay, there are take-home message because I want to focus actually how to approach your potential supervisor. So please remember that contacting potential supervisor is time-consuming. So take your time. Yeah, take your time before you really do your research. Yeah, and be proactive in your approach. Yeah. If you are a passive person, you have to find a way to approach your potential supervisor. The first email, the first impression, the first meeting is very important. Yeah, and my last take-home message is choose carefully your supervisor. Again, yeah. Okay, that's all my talk, my presentation. Thank you, Dr. Diki. I hope the time is enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Nopi Mayasari, for your valuable and inspiring talk about key success of communication, either listening, nonverbal communication, and writing. She also gave us several tips about how to communicate with an academic supervisor appropriately. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Novi. In this opportunity, I would like to invite our last presenter, which is Dr. Nurmi Pangesti. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Right.
Pak Diki, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Pak Diki? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you clearly as well. So while you are preparing your presentation, I would like to read your short curriculum vitae. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti is a former researcher at Netherlands Institute of Ecology Advisory Board NGO Rotasi. She got Bachelor of Science in Biology from Bandung Technology Institute, ITB, Bandung, Indonesia. She got Master of Science in Plant Biotechnology from Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. And she finished her Doctor of Philosophy in Plant Sciences from Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, time is yours then, please.
I'm in the process of sharing my my slides. I hope, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hope this time it works. Apparently, it was because I changed my headset. So then somehow it was disconnect, the audio. But I already asked the organizer to contact me if something happened, if something wrong, if something happened in between my talk. I don't know why it takes time. Okay. Can you all, yeah. You know, it's already said that you are screen sharing, but I don't know if, have you seen my slide?
Yes.
Okay, now I will start doing the slideshow in the slideshow mode. Okay, so I guess that the best is that I start from the beginning. Yeah? Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm back. So thank you for the organizer who invite me to give a talk in this webinar. I find that this is a topic that is relevant for many of us, independent of our background, actually. So we have heard in the beginning from Dr. Nazri about career development, and then from Novi, Dr. Novi, about communication. And actually, I want to go back several steps, you know, like to the back. And my talk is about self-understanding as an important element in career choice and development. Okay. So I did just a briefly self-introduction. I did my bachelor, MSc, PhD degree in Indonesia and in the Netherlands. I worked in the Netherlands for a couple of years after I graduated from my PhD. But before that, I also had experience working in Universitas Gadjah Mada and also Institut Teknologi Bandung. My field of research is sustainable agriculture, microplant insect pathogen interactions, and also soil health. So currently, I am advisory board in the NGO called Rotasi Institute, focusing on the sustainability. And I'm also very much enthusiastic in education. what I want to say from introducing myself is that I'm not a psychologist, although I'm speaking about self-understanding. So the talk is inspired by my own experience, my observation, and also my thought based on everything that I experience and observe and also read. So in my throughout my education and career, I have the privilege of meeting people from a different backgrounds, different cultures, and also different education level. And also, I noticed that from my interaction with all of them, I really see that we are all born unique. And I believe that the earlier we are aware and make use of our unique talents, the more it will benefit us and the society. So I want that for this talk, I go through all the slides all together with you with some awareness on it. So if you don't mind, please take a piece of paper. I hope you are close to a paper and a pen, and help me and help yourself with answering certain things. I will have several questions throughout the talk, and please answer if you feel like answering it. I think it will be good if you also go through it with me. So first, I want to know how many of you attending this webinar because you are feeling confused about what kind of job you will choose after you graduate, or you are very certain of what you are going to do after you graduate. Okay. Okay, you know the answer. You can keep it yourself and go to the next thing with me. So if we feel confused about career choice, I can say very strongly that it is perfectly normal. Actually, we are going to experience that multiple times in our life. First is once we graduate from our bachelor study, because this is the moment that we transition from being a teenager to the adult life, that we have to make decisions by our own, that we start being responsible for our decision. Another thing is because we are not so much aware of ourselves, because before, when we are teenager and we were in the childhood period, in many cases, our parents help us to make decisions. And then also lack of information on the career options, what is actually out there. The second phase is that after we become a parent, we may think about our career, because we may think about what priority we need to put now that we have some, a little being that we need to raise. Another phase is the midlife. So after people doing building their career for a long time, sometimes it comes to the moment when they question or they feel like they are unsatisfied about their job. And then they are questioning whether they should stay in the same job or they change job, or, they start to think of alternatives. So what I identify is that there are two factors that influence when we choose a career and when we develop a career. First is the internal factor. So it's the factors within ourselves that play a role in the career choice and development. And then the second thing is external factors. So it's the factors from outside ourselves. It can be family expectations or life circumstances, so that we cannot fully consider our own internal factors when we choose a career. What is actually needed to identify internal factors? I would say that self-understanding is very important in identifying those internal factors. So what I mean with self-understanding is the knowledge of our capabilities, characters, strength, and motivations. It is very important as a key to find our authentic path. Authentic really bring fulfillment to our life. And self-understanding is a process that with time, we understand ourselves better. Okay, another quiz. So I have a quote that I really believe that I try to apply in many aspects when I work, is that when we start something, we need to start simple. And before we go to a deeper topic, I want to ask you a simple question so that it, kind of warm up our brain system to answer more deeper question. So how do you like your egg for breakfast? Do you like it soft or hard-boiled, sunny side up, omelette, or scrambled? Okay. And then the second question, because many of you are an animal scientist or going to be an animal scientist, which I assume that you love animal and that you know quite a lot about animal. I want to ask what animal you think represent your spirit and why? Is it tiger, eagle, dolphin, or other animal? What I want to say is that when you choose an animal as your spirit animal, maybe unconsciously, because you're associating a trait or a character that you admire in those animals is into something that you actually also admire in people. Okay, the warming up is finished. And then I want to go into something a bit deeper. Let's go through the building blocks of self-understanding. This is what I identify are important to know and to learn about ourselves. The first is our value. What value or values that motivate us to achieve our goals? For instance, in my case, I will say I value diversity. I value honesty. I value supportiveness. You can have different values with me, but what I want to say is please try to answer to yourself, what are your values? And the second building block is goal. What outcomes we wish to achieve. For instance, because I am a researcher in plant science, one of my goals is to actually be part of research to support sustainability as one of my main goals. And please identify to yourself what is you think is your life goal. It may change in 5 years from now, but what you can think of now, what is your goal? And the third building block is what is or are your strengths? What are your talents? What are your abilities, your skills, your characters? The thing is that with strength, we can say whatever we want, but I think the best is that we also confirm with our surroundings whether there's also what they see as our strength. You don't always have to trust everybody around you, but it can be a cross-check, So the thing that we find consistent between what we think is our strength and what people also think the strength is maybe a real strong strength. And then the fourth building block is interest. Interest is what are issues that constantly draws our attention. some people may be interested in technology, in animal production system, or in agriculture, consistently thinking about that since the last decade or the last 5 years, or the last 3 or 4 years when you are in a university. Maybe there is something that really consistently draw your attention. What is it? What is your interest? And the last thing is social. What I mean with social is how do we function in our social environment? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Am I paying attention on detail, or I don't have patience with details? And what kind of work feeling to us? I think that also reference, if we already understand about ourselves, is actually not, because although we understand about ourselves, expressing everything can also be challenging because we have an external factors that might challenge us. We might have to confront our parents because what we want is different with what they want, or there is a life situation. Maybe we have responsibility. Maybe we have brother or sister to be taken care of. That can also influence how we can express fully ourselves in professional level, I mean. But if we have a strong self-understanding and we have commitment to express all those elements in our life, it actually can help us to make a better decision because we have guidelines to solve problems. For instance, if we have to choose between A and B, and clearly that A doesn't fit our value, then clearly we choose B. And it applies for other building blocks. And we also will be more resistant to social pressure because we will act and choose according to our values. Another benefit is that all those process of understanding about ourselves, I think will also help us to be more tolerant to others, because when we identify our strength, we actually will also identify our weaknesses. We are not good on certain things. Our other friends are good on certain things, so that we build more empathy towards others. The most important element is also that we feel happy and at peace if we understand ourselves and we decide everything based on our self-understanding and core values. And maybe if you look around, if I look around, I meet people who have very high vitality, like they are never tired in doing their job. And most likely because they love their job. It fits with them. It expresses everything that is important in their life. So that's also one of the benefits of knowing about ourselves. But very often, in the community and in the society and in the environment, we meet people that have multiple interests, multiple strengths, and multiple goals, and kind of not sure what to do or what to choose. So how is it? What are options to channel all of our interests and our goals? So in career, there are different options. For instance, we can be a specialist, which means that we take one particular thing as our main job. For instance, I love research, I just want to be a researcher. Or generalist, meaning that maybe we have more than one, maybe we have 2 or even 3 interests, And we want to use all those things in our career, or even make two careers. For instance, I love research, but I love education, and I want to combine and do both. And there is something in between. What I say, like being generalist, I think takes a lot of energy, right? And so there is also a possibility that we use our main interest as our job, and that we have a sub-focus can also be, we can express also those interests as a sub-focus interest, and making it as a hobby or as a volunteering activity. Because, you know, if you have many talents and you don't express it all, sometimes you don't feel unfulfilled. At least that's what I feel. So of course, there are pros and cons when we be a specialist, a generalist, or in between. For instance, if we become a specialist, if we are really want to do just one thing, we can understand specific topic with depth. And it can also be a unique expertise that is needed or extremely needed. The cons, yeah?
Excuse me, time is almost up for you.
Okay,
So,
I will speed up. Okay, thank you, Pak Diki. The cons is that we are become inflexible because we are too specific. And then the generalists, they understand variety of topics, they have many skills, and the pros is that they also have career flexibility. But the contra is that it sacrifices the depth for the breadth. And the in between is a combination of pros and cons of being a specialist and generalist. So this is the next step after we know about ourselves. So I cannot, explain it into details because of the time, but I will just read the main. So after we understand about ourselves, please find information in the job market, ask your seniors, ask your mentors, and then know set of conditions for the jobs. Specific jobs require, for instance, traveling, and if you don't like it, you will be probably regret it. And then if you know all those things, apply for the job or create the job. After we are doing the job for some time, observe ourselves. What do we feel? How do we go? Do we continue in the same job or we try something else? If we continue the same job, we can further develop our career, and maybe we can also ask like what kind of skills we can learn. And then if we also want to pursue our education. This is another thing that I think is also good that you could identify. It's the hard skills versus soft skills. I think the first two speakers in the beginning also spoke a lot about these two skills. The hard skill is the skill that we specifically need to perform a certain job. And the soft skills are the set of skills that we need for our interpersonal communication, interactions. And both hard and soft skills are important to perform and advance in most jobs. So I thought in the beginning, because I like science, I like knowledge, and I thought that my option was only to be a researcher. But actually, once I'm becoming a researcher for more than 5 years, I say that, there are a lot of things that we can do if we have passion for science. We can be a researcher, we can be a teacher, we can be a data analyst, we can be active in NGO, or we can even build a company ourselves. So there is a set of characters or conditions that required for certain jobs. So I don't want to go into details for those. This is just one example of, okay, if you want to be a researcher, we need to have strong curiosity and analytical skills and flexibility. If you want to be a data analyst, we need to love numbers. We need to be good at computer and programming. And if you want to be, a startup a businessman or businesswoman, we also need to know what it takes to be that. Okay, this is almost the end. At the end of your study, you have an option, right? The big options, whether we stay in the same field that we have studied, or we change field, really enjoy what we studied, and we also think that we want more, then we can stay in the same field and searching for jobs that fits our conditions. But if we say like, I don't necessarily need to do something specific, I don't see myself being or working with plants anymore, you can also do and change fields. So my talk is not to direct you to be or to choose one particular path. What I want to actually bring is the awareness of why we choose certain things and what we could offer while we do those things. Okay, take-home messages. Being confused about career is very normal, and that we may experience in several life phases. When we have confusion, please take time to question, explore, observe in order to find self-understanding. And the thing that I find also important is I think we need to keep growing. We need to keep exploring to find our uniqueness and authenticity in expressing ourselves in our career and in our daily life. So I will close my talk with a quote that I really like. Authenticity is the best route. It is from Joel Combs, an author and also internet activist. And I want to also thank you for your attention and following, also attending this webinar. And if you have questions or if there's things unclear, you can send your questions to my email or also using the chat in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nurmi Pangestu, for your excellent and informative. We get asked a presentation about what's next are going to do for career development. Here, self-understanding as a process comprising a goal, value, strength, interest, and social are very important you are aware of. Again, thank you very much for all the speakers, and we are now going to have a discussion session. Right. Dr. Nurmi Pangestu, can you end your share screen because
stop
the
share?
committee...
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
And the committee will share screen about questions they have that have been selected. Right. Now we are going to a question and answer session. The committee, could you... Right. So the first question is addressed to Dr. Najri Nayan. The question is, how do you manage your time as a lecturer to do research, and also how to tackle the difficulty to analyze the data and writing which resulting an article and could be in Scopus article? This from Dr. Siti Darojah from the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Pajajaran. Dr. Najri Nayan, could you answer this question, please?
Okay. I don't know the lectures in Unpad, how what they are supposed to do, but I think generally are the same. So as a lecturer, we have to do quite a lot of things. The first one is the educations, research, consultations with the industry and community. So those are kind of three main roles as a lecturer in Malaysia in general. So what about research? Because we are not, because as a lecturer, it's more like towards the management of the research. We're looking for fun. We supervise the students. We help them in case of any problem that the student face. It's more like mentoring roles there. But as a junior lecturer, as a researcher, as a PhD student, it's different. So how you manage the research? It's a bit difficult because you have, for me, time is about identifying the best time you can do the most important works. For example, I'm a morning person. So I know that my graph is like, in the morning is like this, but then after lunch it goes down like that. So that means I cannot do most of the research work, for example, for writing, analyzing data at night or in the evening. So I have to focus. I have to use that energy that I have the most in the morning to actually do this kind of work. So you have to identify your A time, that we call it A time. Yeah? The time that you have the most energy throughout the day, because different people have different time that they prefer, right, to do research, and how to tackle the difficulty to analyze data. Of course, you have to know your experimental design, because that will help you to analyze your data, what kind of model that you're going to use. For me, I use SAS because I have a full control over the statistical model. Some people like to use SPSS. But in case you cannot solve it by yourself, you have to seek help, yeah, from your supervisors. Sometimes your supervisors are not the expert in statistics, because lecturer cannot be the expert in everything. Yeah, so each one of us have a specific expertise that we can use. Okay, for example, I am more on nutrition and physiology, and maybe my colleagues expert in statistics. So in case of that, yeah, if that thing happen that I don't have the knowledge on that statistical matters, so I will ask the student to actually consult those particular issues that are expert in statistics. Okay, because we need to have a second opinion sometimes, just to compare. Okay, about the articles. Iris Scopus Q1 or any quartile, it depends on the quality of research that you're doing actually, because it's hard to tell. But actually, when I read the papers that I review papers, I know that paper is suitable for Q1 papers or for Scopus. It takes experience to actually try to able to understand, try to assess that papers. What the writing, research, and articles. The most important thing is actually your English language, because that's the main distraction point actually when I read or review papers. If the English is too hard to actually to understand what you're trying to say, is total turn off. So please, if you're not really that good in your English writing, or sometimes a good English speaker is not necessarily a good English writer, not a good writer. Yeah? It's not necessarily true for that. So if just because you see that the people can speak English very well, very fluent, but it's not necessarily mean that he or she can write good English. So sometimes, yeah, you might want to consult some proofreaders, for example, just to get, your writing is very concise, very clear, very easy to follow. So I think that's very important, Dr. Siti Darojah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Nasri.
Yes.
Thank you for your answer. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Nazir, for your answer. I think Dr. Siti Darojah is also happy with your answer as well. Now, second questions from Jasmine. Jasmine is from Universitas Padjadjaran, and this question is addressed to Dr. Nurmi Pangesti. This question is sometimes life is really unpredictable, and a lot of people tend to be too optimistic about what they can achieve in a certain period of time. But on the other hand, many of us experience problems with self-esteem and see future in extremely dark shades. My question is how to avoid unrealistic expectation from our plan. So Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, time is yours to answer the questions, please. Dr. Nurmi, could you unmute your...
Yes. Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Okay. Thank you, moderator. And I will try to answer the question as concise as possible. This is not an easy question. Actually, we all have moments that we are unsure about things and we are feeling pessimistic, especially in this pandemic. But I am a believer that we are attracting what we are. So if we want something positive to come in our life, I think first we also need to think about positive things first. We need to be aware that the moment can be difficult, but we need to keep going, talking to people, and maybe our expectation is unrealistic because we are not really know options or we don't speak enough to people. People can help us. Like I come and speak in this webinar because I spoke to friends, I spoke to Novi. I have other opportunities because I spoke to people. Sometimes speaking to people, expressing what we think, what we want, can open a path, something unexpected through a difficult moment. And if, for instance, your question is related to this pandemic, of course, it's difficult for everybody. It's difficult for me too. That I am now exploring also my next employment. But what I also learned is that this is also the moment to actually ask many things, to realize many things about ourselves, to try different things, and also to develop new skills. Now that everything is online, we can actually find a lot of courses. Many of them are free in the internet. So we can take that courses and build our skills. So then when things get better, we are more ready to make choice. And if, for instance, work to find job is difficult for now, maybe we can also think, maybe this is a moment that we can continue our study if that will be an option for you and find out more about that. What do you really want? Or doing something or developing something yourself. This pandemic actually creating many entrepreneurship. A friend of mine starting a business online because of the pandemic actually motivate her to start doing something of her own. So there is always positive things if we start to see. Don't see the darkness, but see what is the light around us. What can we actually give to people in this period that seems dark, and keep thinking positive by speaking to people, actually by praying, also meditating, going out, exercising, be active, help us to have in a very different mindset that can help us to go through difficult moment in our life. So I want to go further. I hope that can help at least a little bit to answer the question from Jasmine from Universitas Padjadjaran.
Thank you very much for your answer. Hopefully Jasmine is happy with your answer, which is already quite detailed. Now we are moving to the third questions from Dr. Hisam from UPM, University Putra Malaysia. So this question is addressed to Dr. Nopi Mayasari. The question is, sometimes it's not easy to have face-to-face contact with our potential supervisor especially when they are overseas. So, as a potential postgrad student or researcher, what are your advice to them to overcome the situation when the scenario is exactly what Dr. Siti have asked? This is in regards of your point in your talk where you stated choose your supervisor wisely, as this is not always the case. So, Dr. Nopi Mayasari,
yeah.
are you with us?
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Please,
I'm here.
please answer
Okay.
these questions, Dr. Nopi Mayasari.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Diki. I'll try to answer the question. I think the question is more or less similar from Dr. Siti Daroja and also from Dr. Hisam from UPM. I'm happy that you are here, and also a lot of students from UPM are participating this webinar. Hopefully, we will have another collaboration in the future with Dr. Nazri and also the other colleague from UPM. Okay, about the question, back to the question. Yes, I will start with yes. There are many situations like this. There are many situations like this. Like also what it's happened to me as well. Yeah, it's very difficult actually in the case that when you got a scholarship and then you have to go directly to the country and then you never know what kind of topic. There is no topic for me. That's a lot of things like this happen. So that's the reason we learn from the past. We have to learn from the past. The situation should be avoided as much as possible. So what I also learned there when I did my study in Wageningen, so the communication before the research, although it's between an online meeting, it should be clear. And I think there are a lot of progress now because we cannot blame the student. Yeah, the mistake is not always from the student, but also from the host, from the supervisor, or from the team leader. The team leader who offered the project or the research should be clear. What are the requirements? What the details of the project? Is it really meet with your expectation? This is what you want or not? But what happened to me when you really expect something? This has happened to me. I cried a lot at the time. I remember it's 5 years ago. I expect to have one potential supervisor, but when I came to Netherlands, I should switch my topic, which I don't really like at all. Yeah, but the way we approach should be good. So when you need to understand what you want, your interest, you have to talk with them. This is actually what I want. Yeah, mostly student doesn't have any motivation or probably failure. And then they sometimes just keep silent and then just, okay, I will just do it. Force yourself to do it. That's not good because you have to engage with your topic for several times, especially for the PhD or for the master. Yeah, and I hope some of you that are supervisor here, if you offer some project to your student, please be clear with your requirement, not only from the project side, but also the personality, the way you work. This is what I want. This is what the output that we want. This is my schedule and everything. It should be clear in the beginning. This is what I did. Yeah, I did that to communicate well. So the communication is really important when you do to approach your potential supervisor. I did this when I was in Wageningen and I want to approach someone from Italy. So I really take my time to check everything, not only the person, not only the background, but also the lab facilities and who the people work with him. So you can do many ways actually to get to know your supervisor. And about the topic, again, you can talk with them. You can talk with them. Again, not only from the side of the student, but the supervisor also needs to explain, okay, this is the project that you have to do. If you have something else that is not relevant with your interest, please say to us. There are also many of my friends, sometimes in the middle of the study or for the PhD, they change the topic. I think Dr. Nazir and Dr. Nomi also know about this, and Dr. Diki, I think they change the topic. But we cannot avoid something like that, avoid the situation like that. The solution only one, communication. Yeah, you have to open your mind and then talk to each other. Then you will find a solution. I think that's all my answer. I hope it will satisfy Dr. Siti Daroza and also Dr. Hisam. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Diki.
Thank you very much for your answer. Actually, we have limited time now.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Bu Dece.
Right. We would like to see each speaker having a closing about 1 minute closing statement in this quite limited time. Dr. Nopi Mayasari, can you be the first to deliver a closing statement?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dikti. Because it's only 1 minute, so I only have 3 kind of keywords. Dream high, make it happen, and please be easy to yourself. That's only my closing statement. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Nopi, for your kind presentation, discussion, and closing statement. Dr. Nazri Nayan, can you be the second, please?
Yes. Although your future is very important, it's a very important thing to always think about your future, but don't worry too much about your future, but focus and enjoy the process that you are in right now. I think that's very important because the future just follow. If you do the present right, and the future is just, inshallah, okay. That's all.
Thank you very much for your presentation, discussion session, and closing statements. It's very informative, inspiring, and valuable for us. The third one, Dr. Nurmi Pangesti, time is yours, please.
Please unmute, Dr.
Could you unmute your microphone, please, Dr. Nurmi?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Diki. I have 4 words to close for the closing statement. First, explore. Second, observe. 3, understand. 4, discover. And enjoy the process.
Okay. Excellent. Please give applause for all the speakers. Thank you very much. Now we are moving to the wrap-up session by Muhammad Rifki Ismirod, MSc. Muhammad Rifki Ismirod, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, can you wrap up this session, please?
Okay, thank you very much for the chance. I will try to wrap up in as concise as possible. So the first is from Dr. Nazri. The take-home message is that you cannot know how to tackle problems unless you know the process. So enjoy the process to know how to tackle the problems. And from Dr. Nurmi, you have to find your uniqueness and authentic expression to face the future. Because authenticity is the best route, as said by Joel Cohn. And from Dr. Novi Mayasari, the key messages is that contacting potential supervisor is a time-consuming process. So take your time, and then you have to be proactive in communication process with your supervisor, and that first email is very, very important. So don't mess it up. Thank you very much, Dr. Diki. The time is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Muhammad Rifki Ismirod, MSc. And now the representative of our faculty will have appreciation statements to all the speakers and participants. I need Dr. Nopi Mayasari. Do you have any idea who is the representative for our faculty? Is it you?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dick. Yeah. Okay. So I would like to inform you that our dean and also the vice dean cannot attend for the end of the webinar. So on behalf of them, the dean, and also from the family of faculty of animal husbandry, we would like to thank to all the speakers. The first one is Dr. Nazri Nayan. Thank you for your valuable time and also your insight, your knowledge. This is the certificate for you. Hopefully we can see each other in the future. Yeah. I hope there will be more collaboration, joint publication probably, or etc. Yeah. And we hope we can maintain our relationship and also working together to tackle the future challenges. Thank you again, Nazi. And yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much. And the next one is Dr. Nurmi. Yeah. Dr. Nurmi, thank you very much also for your valuable time. I think I also made a good decision to invite Dr. Nazri and Dr. Nurmi. It's very nice talk. I think really give good insight for our students and for all our participants. And hopefully, if we invite you again to talk something else, maybe you will also willing to help us. Thank you again, Dr. Nurmi, for your time.
Thank you, organizer and Novi.
Yeah, thank you. And the last certificate goes to our moderator. Yeah, Dr. Diki, my partner in crime. Okay, thank you so much for your time as well. You really guide the webinar very well. Thank you again for your work and effort for our webinar. Yeah, I think
thank you very much.
All. And also thank you for all the participants. I don't know if we can take a picture, all of us. Yeah, maybe the organizing committee can help us to take a picture. Maybe Rifki, can you guide us with taking a picture?
Yes, please.
Please open your.
Yeah, please open your video screen first, dear participants. Okay. So in count of 3, I will take our pictures. 1, 2, 3. Smile.
Smile.
Hold it. I will go to the next page. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you very much, dear participants.
Yeah, thank you. I think the last one we have one information about the next webinar. So basically, we also have a collaboration with other university like Wageningen University. So we had internship student. So for the audience who also want to study here in Faculty of Animal Husbandry, you can also try and contact us. And the next webinar will be on August 19th at 10 o'clock. This webinar is actually specific for the people in Faculty of Animal Husbandry. But hopefully there will be more collaboration and also webinar, and we will inform you soon. So again, thank you, and I will return back my talk to Padiki to close the webinar.
Very much, Dr. Nopi Mayasari, for appreciation statements and also information about the next webinar. So this end of our program. Again, on behalf of organizing committee, I would like to thanks to all speakers and participants. Sorry for any inconvenience caused in this program. and see you next time. We will close this by saying Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Nazri.
Terima kasih.
Thank you very much.
And all organizing committee.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
Terima kasih Rifki atas bantuannya ya untuk mengatasi technical error tadi.
Terima kasih juga untuk teman-teman dosen dari fakultas, Bu Dace, Bu Siti Nurama, Pak Heri, Pak Hasan, dan lain sebagainya yang belum disebutkan. Terima kasih. Admin juga terima kasih.
Terima kasih admin.
Ya, terima kasih teman-teman.
Thank you for listening.
Assalamualaikum.
Don't forget to fill in the link for the certificate. Oh, terima kasih Pak Denny.
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu telah mengundang.
Terima kasih.
Akan tutup ruang virtual ini. Thank you for using this Faculty of Animal Husbandry Half Day Service. I will end and close this virtual room. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.